Near the end of World War II, the Third Reich hid their greatest secret within Poland's Owl Mountains, a network of tunnels with a mysterious purpose. It was a bizarre project with the code name Riese. Project Riese, meaning giant in German, began with the Führer himself. In 1943, he organized the construction of underground structures in Lower Silesia, which is now Poland. However, the true purpose of these unbelievable tunnels has remained elusive to this day, stamping one large question mark on this particular day of World War II history. What was the real reason behind these incredibly expensive and enterprising complexes? There has been much speculation about these underground wonders. According to certain sources, these tunnels helped comprise a part of the Führer's headquarters. However, this isn't the only theory. In addition to serving as a base or headquarters, some believe that Project Riese was an expression of Germany's arms industry, and that the tunnels hosted manufacturing facilities as well as a command center. But whatever the truth may be, these historical sites still have shocking stories to tell. Though so much of Project Riese is shrouded in mystery, there are still some facts that have been unearthed. Beginning in 1942, the Allies targeted Germany with an increasing number of air raids. This pushed the Third Reich to make an important decision. In order to keep its armament safe, the Third Reich moved its infrastructure to more secure locations. This, of course, included Lower Silesia, with its bountiful resources and history of mining. With the aim of protecting the Third Reich's arms factories, the decision to hide them in underground bunkers was an ideal solution. The seeds of Project Riese were first planted in September 1943. This led to the founding of the Silesian Industrial Company, or Industriegemeinschaft Schlesien, which would be responsible for construction operations. From here, the plan unfolded swiftly. There were already camps in place to accommodate forced laborers by November of the same year. They came from several places: prisoners of war from Italy, the Soviet Union, and Poland. The tasks and goals set before them were not for the faint of heart. The POWs took on physically arduous responsibilities. Bringing Project Riese to life required major manpower. It was so much more than just excavating parts of the mountain. Roads, bridges, and railways had to be constructed to support the building process, and that wasn't all. These workers had to raise thousands of trees and collect materials. POWs worked themselves to the bone. They dug out drainage ditches and reservoirs, stitching together a system with many moving parts. They also built the foundation for sewage systems by constructing dams and harnessing a water supply. But the groundwork they laid was just the beginning. Today, these complexes can be found inside of the Owl Mountain in Poland. Their existence required a major excavation of thousands of cubic meters of concrete, but this was no simple feat. Snaking through a mountain required a lot of explosives and drilling. An unbelievable amount of rock had to be moved. Once the tunnel had been dug out, they had to be properly supported by steel and concrete. But such specialized work couldn't be completed by the POWs alone. In order to ensure the underground structures were safe, specialists had to be brought in. They lent their expertise and knowledge to the operation, giving their stamp of approval where it was needed. The POWs, however, had to put their lives on the line and shoulder the immense physical toll the project demanded. Excavating these massive tunnels was made all the more difficult because of the type of rocks they were working with. Gneiss. Gneiss is a high-grade metamorphic rock, which is incredibly hard, but this also had its benefits. Though the rock was hard to bore through, it also meant that it lent the structures greater stability. There was also more flexibility when it came to the size of these tunnels. Thanks to the hard rock face, some tunnels could reach incredible heights of up to 12 meters. Additionally, the material offered better protection in the case of air raids. However, construction wasn't always smooth sailing. A disaster blindsided the project in December 1943 when a devastating typhus epidemic spread among the POWs. This illness was yet another layer of suffering on top of the poor conditions they already had to endure. Project Riese had no mercy for the POWs working to establish it. The standards of hygiene were abysmal, and they were all poorly fed and worked to the bone. With the added stress of the typhus epidemic, the amount of work getting done slowed to a worrisome crawl. Over the course of the war, The exact number of fatalities that occurred beneath the shadow of this project is still unknown. However, there are even more disturbing details about these forced laborers. By the spring of 1944, the Führer was not pleased with the amount of work completed on the project, and so another chilling decision was made. He handed the reins over to Organization Todt. Moreover, inmates from concentration camps would face recruitment and be put to work. Because Project Riese is so steeped in mystery, there is a lot of information that has been lost to time, much in regard to the poor men bringing it to fruition. However, at the very least, there were around 13,000 forced laborers. The majority of them had already spent time in the Auschwitz concentration camp. According to documentation, 8,995 of these inmates were properly identified, and all of them were Jewish, with 70% of them coming from Hungary, but they had simply moved from one horror show to another. Sometimes these forced laborers from Auschwitz were so tired and worn out that they were no longer considered an asset. The solution? To send them back to the concentration camp from which they came. However, there were some who tried to escape on their own. Those who tried to flee their incarceration while working for Project Riese paid the ultimate price. On record, there were 14 executions, men who had tragically tried to escape, but failed. Though accurate data is not available, an estimated number of total fatalities sits at about 5,000. Typhus truly had its grip on the workers for Project Riese in 1944, because it struck again as the year came to a close. However, the end of World War II itself was already approaching. Only months later, the camps began evacuating. In February 1945, work on Project Riese began to cease with the evacuation camps, the last remnants of its efforts finally giving up by the end of April. Project Riese was never fully realized and abandoned once the front line approached. In fact, construction had barely even begun. However, the project wasn't the only thing abandoned. Even some of the workers were forsaken at the camps and work sites, with the majority of them extremely sick. They were left for the Red Army to find in May 1945. However, some believe that a vast number of the POWs met even darker fates. With the entrances to this subterranean complex destroyed, many have speculated about what the bunkers had been hiding and where it had all gone by the end of World War II. On top of that, though, there was an even more pressing question. What had happened to most of the POWs, the many thousands of them? You see, the location of the mass graves of the many workers remains a mystery. Some sources wonder whether they were trapped in the complex or buried beneath the rubble when the bunkers were destroyed. For decades, the remnants of Project Riese have become a breeding ground for shocking conspiracy theories, and for good reason. To understand the birth of these conspiracy theories, we must rewind for a moment and introduce a key player named Albert Speer. German architect Albert Speer was the man in charge of Organization Todt. When he gained control of Project Riese, he focused his efforts on Schonch Castle. Here, Speer began tunneling deep beneath the castle, which was intended to one day become part of the Führer's secret headquarters. However, thanks to his records, there is another intriguing piece of the puzzle that has ignited the imaginations of devoted conspiracy theorists. Speer's records of Project Riese revealed that the architect believed that there were roughly 213,000 cubic meters of the subterranean fortress within the mountains. However, less than half of this area has ever been explored. This leaves a shockingly large portion of the tunnels that have never been investigated. But that's not all that. The tunnels themselves are difficult to make sense of, especially since it is impossible to access all of them. This means that the actual size of Project Riese remains unknown. Some have supposed that Project Riese's separate complexes were intended to connect upon completion, suggesting that this might have been achieved with an underground railway. Again, this is where the conspiracy theorists have struggled with the complex's overarching mystery. What were these tunnels actually intended for? The generally accepted theories about Project Riese have already been discussed, that it was meant to be some kind of headquarters or arms factory. However, not everyone has been so quick to believe this. Some suspect that these seemingly logical German plans for Project Riese are just one grand cover-up, concealing the actual truth. Though there is no evidence at all, one theory suggests that the Germans were trying to create some sort of mega-weapon, but that's not the only wild theory. Others believe that these tunnels were meant to function as one massive treasure chest for all of the treasures the Nazis had pilfered. Examples of these treasures include the Russian Amber Room and gold from Wroclaw. But perhaps the most infamous legend of hidden treasure is that of the Nazi gold train, or Baubusche gold train. As the story goes, at the end of World War II, a train departed from Breslau and was supposed to reach a station in Waldenburg, but it never arrived. Moreover, this was not your typical train. Allegedly, this Nazi train was absolutely filled with gold and other valuables, including expensive paintings, jewels, and dangerous arms. So, where did this missing train go? It's believed that the gold train became tangled up in Project Riese, likely coming to rest in the subterranean system beneath Baubusche Castle. Though the allure of this lost treasure captivated the public's interest, historians have revealed a sobering truth. There's no way to know whether this legendary train was even real to begin with. This, however, didn't stop people from looking for it. The Golden Train story, true or not, certainly moved officials to action. From 1947 to 1989, the Polish armed forces looked in vain for the mysterious train, but came up empty-handed. It wasn't until 2015 that promising new information came to light. Perhaps even more bizarre than the legend of the lost train is the series of events that transpired in 2015. Two men, Andreas Richter and Piotr Koper, came forward with some bold claims. They said that they had obtained some information regarding a buried train. From where? Well, from a deathbed confession, no less. In a wild twist, the Polish government seemed to believe Richter and Koper's stories, or at the very least, they believed that their claims might have a ring of truth to them. This resulted in some serious negotiations. Richter and Koper, both with their eyes on the prize, wanted a 10% finder's fee if the train was actually unearthed. Though their claims seemed baseless, they did have some evidence to show for it. In 2016, Richter and Koper obtained permission to excavate the site themselves. By August, they had organized a team brimming with specialists, 64 people on board this extensive treasure hunt. But just 7 days into digging, they had to face the music. The dream of the golden train faded to black when the team failed to discover train tracks or even a tunnel, not to mention a train. Though the radar images had seemed like a beacon of hope, they had only detected ice formations. Reportedly, this very expensive project rang up a costly bill of $131,000. The search for the train garnered some serious media attention and has since attracted many tourists to the region. The city of Baubusche has certainly benefited from this interest. According to one tourist official, whether the explorers find anything or not, that gold train has already arrived. When it comes to Project Riese, its intricate system of underground tunnels can be accessed at several different points. These include Walimszewska, Włodarz, Jugowice, Soban, Sokolec, Osówka, and Książ Castle. Those hoping to experience the tunnels of Project Riese can visit Walimszewska, Włodarz, or Osówka. The site that caters most to tourists is the Osówka complex, but such sobering historical sites are not for the faint of heart. After all, the heart of Project Riese is equal parts mystery and tragedy. If you enjoyed this Fact in a video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.